The strongest man I ever met couldn't lift a finger. It was 1964 in Hong Kong. A master weighing 300 pounds challenged me in my own school. His muscles were like steel cables, forged through 2 decades of relentless training. The crowd gathered, eager to witness a clash of titans, force against force. They wanted to see who was stronger. But strength, I've come to realize, is like a finger pointing at the moon. Most people fixate on the finger, oblivious to the celestial beauty it reveals. That day, the master unleashed his fastest punch, a strike that had shattered concrete. I didn't block it. I didn't counter it. I simply wasn't there. His immense power, all that magnificent force, met nothing but air. In that moment, he understood what I'm about to share with you. True power isn't about breaking things. It's about bending without breaking. 20 years of building strength, and he was defeated by its absence. This isn't philosophy. This is reality, my reality, your reality. For years, I pursued strength until I discovered something far more valuable: the ability to be like water. Water can flow gently or crash with fury. It is formless, shapeless, limitless. The moment you try to be strong, you've already lost. Let me show you what I mean. What happened next in that school changed how I approached martial arts and life forever. You may have seen the footage. Me standing just an inch away from a man, sending him flying backward with what appears to be a subtle movement. They called it the 1-inch punch. Some claimed it was superhuman strength. They were wrong. When I demonstrated this at the Long Beach International Karate Championships, everyone wanted to know the secret. How could someone of my size generate such explosive power? They assumed I had discovered a hidden technique, a way to concentrate impossible strength into a single moment. But here's what they missed. The less strength I used, the more powerful the punch became. Think about that. Less strength, more power. It sounds contradictory, doesn't it? Yet this is where most martial artists and most people fall into the trap. They try to muscle their way through life, forcing their will against the universe. They build walls of strength, only to be defeated by their own rigidity. Let me share something I've never revealed about that demonstration. The first 100 times I practiced the 1-inch punch, I failed. Why? Because I was trying to be strong. I tensed my muscles, forcing power into that single inch of space, and it was useless. The breakthrough came when I stopped trying to be strong. Instead of tensing, I learned to relax completely. Instead of forcing power outward, I let it flow through me, like electricity through a wire. The less resistance, the more current flows. This truth became clear again when a bodybuilder challenged me in my school. His biceps were the size of my thighs. He grabbed my arm, confident his strength would give him control. But the moment he squeezed, he had already lost. Why? Because he was trapped in the prison of his own strength, while I was free. This is what I call intelligent strength. It's not about how much force you can generate, it's about how little you need to use. The less effort, the faster and more powerful you become. This isn't just a technique. It's a complete reversal of everything you've been taught about power. But here's the paradox. To achieve this kind of power, you must first be willing to be completely powerless. You must empty your cup before it can be filled. So I ask you, what are you holding on to that's holding you back? My most challenging students weren't the beginners. They were the champions, the experts, the masters of other styles. I remember one a heavyweight boxing champion with fists that could shatter bones. He came to me believing he needed more power. But his real problem? He was drowning in his own strength. During our first session, I asked him to push against my arm. He pushed with everything he had, veins bulging, face red with effort. Then, I simply redirected his force, and he fell forward, nearly breaking his nose on the floor. Not because I was stronger, but because his own strength betrayed him. This is what I call broken force power that defeats itself. Let me tell you about my greatest defeat. Few know this story, but it shaped everything I understand about true strength. In my younger days in Hong Kong, I fought a master who never seemed to move. Yet, no matter how fast or powerful my attacks were, I couldn't touch him. Every punch, every kick was fueled by my desperate need to prove myself strong. And in that rigidity, I was defeated not by his strength, but by my own. That day, I learned a bitter truth. The moment you try to be strong, you've already lost. True weakness doesn't come from a lack of strength. It comes from an excess of it. When you grip sand too tightly, it slips through your fingers. When you clutch water too desperately, it disperses. When you try to be strong, you become brittle. I see this every day: powerful men and women armored in their strength, yet vulnerable to the slightest unexpected touch. They've built fortresses of muscle and technique, but forget that the tallest towers cast the longest shadows. But there's something beyond this paradox. Something that transforms apparent weakness into unimaginable power. It begins with a question most are afraid to ask. What if everything you're doing to become stronger is actually making you weaker? What you call strength is often fear wearing armor. I learned this not in combat, but in quiet moments, observing my students. Their tension before a fight, their rigid movements, all masks hiding the same thing: fear. I remember one student, a police officer, who came to me after failing to defend himself in a real confrontation. He had all the training, all the techniques, all the physical power. But in that crucial moment, his strength abandoned him. Why? Because he was fighting two battles, one with his attacker and another with his own fear. Fear does something strange to us. It makes us grip tighter, stand more rigidly, try to control everything around us. We call this strength, but it's actually panic disguised as power. This is what I call empty strength, the illusion of power that collapses the moment it's truly tested. Let me share something I observed in my Oakland school. I would sometimes ask my advanced students to spar with beginners. The advanced students would often become stiff, mechanical, trying to prove their superiority. Their years of training dissolved into rigid movements and forced techniques. Their ego's addiction to appearing powerful made them weak. But occasionally, I'd see something remarkable. A student would reach a point of complete exhaustion, too tired to maintain their facade of strength. And in that moment, their movements would become pure, effortless, and powerful. They had accidentally discovered the secret: empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. This is the crucial understanding. Your ego's desperate grip on power is your greatest weakness. Every time you try to prove your strength, you reveal your fear. Every time you armor yourself against weakness, you prevent true power from flowing through you. There's a profound transformation waiting on the other side of this understanding. But to reach it, you must first ask yourself, what are you afraid would happen if you stopped trying to be strong? My greatest breakthrough came at my darkest moment. I had injured my back severely during training and was confined to bed for 6 months. The doctors said I might never kick again. In that moment of complete powerlessness, I discovered true power. Unable to train physically, I was forced to look deeper. And there, in that enforced stillness, I understood 3 principles that revolutionized not just my martial arts, but my entire approach to power. 1. True power is not the ability to conquer others, but to conquer oneself. 2. Power flows in the space between effort and non-effort. 3. Fear is not your enemy, it's your compass. When I returned to training, my kicks were faster and more powerful, not because I was stronger, but because I had transcended the need for strength. These principles apply beyond martial arts. Think about your daily challenges. When facing a difficult conversation, most people tense up, trying to control the outcome. But what if you approached it like water, no fixed position to defend, no rigid strength to maintain? The same applies to your work, your relationships, your greatest challenges. The moment you stop trying to be powerful is the moment you access true power. This is the liberation I discovered. True power isn't something you do, it's something you allow. Like water flowing downhill, it follows the path of least resistance. Not because it's weak, but because it has transcended the need to prove its strength. And now, you understand why I say strength is an illusion. Because what we're really seeking isn't strength at all, it's freedom. Let me leave you with this. You are already strong enough. Your quest for strength is what weakens you. Your desire to be powerful is what limits your power. Your fear of weakness is what blocks your true potential. So, be like water. Flow. Adapt. Transcend. The rest will follow.